Do you want to make your character sound interesting and engaging, but doing accents, doing silly voices isn't your cup of tea? Well, stick around because today I'm going to talk about how you can make any character sound really interesting and unique by changing a couple of minor things about your own natural speaking voice. First, I'm going to tell you what the 3 things you can change about your natural speaking voice are to make any character sound more interesting. From there, I'll tell you how to combine those elements to make a truly unique voice for your character. After that, I'll touch on why I think it's so important to spend the time figuring out what your character sounds like when you're playing TTRPGs, so make sure you stick around for that. So what are the things you can change about your own voice to make it not your own? You've got your volume, your tempo, and your word choice or sentence structure. Now, if you're only going to change one thing, make sure it's word choice and sentence structure, because that is going to be the single highest impact thing you can change about your speaking. Volume is how loudly or quietly a character speaks. Now remember, we're playing a social game, so you don't want to be yelling and you don't want to be whispering. Think about the kind of person you'd want sitting next to you at the table. Now with that said, how loudly a character speaks can tell us volumes about who they are. Somebody speaking loudly might be perceived as angry or aggressive or boisterous or hurt, whereas somebody speaking softly might be perceived as shy or timid or insecure or cautious. So let's build out an example so I can show you what I'm talking about. We're going to use the phrase, "I'm not here to cause any trouble," as our neutral base. So it's got a natural volume, it's got a natural tempo, and it's got a neutral natural word choice. I'm not here to cause any trouble. Now, when I take the volume up, I'm not here to cause any trouble. I didn't change the tempo and I didn't change the word choice. All I did was increase the volume. It sounds a lot more aggressive. If we go the opposite way and take the volume down, I'm not here to cause any trouble. It sounds a lot more coy or shy or insecure. So you can see that just changing the volume of how your character speaks can have a tremendous impact on how they're perceived by the world and how they interact with it. But volume's not the only thing you can change to make your character have more depth. Tempo is how quick or slow your character talks. Remember, this is a social game. You don't want to be talking so fast you're hard to understand or so slow that you're dragging the game out. But with that said, the pace that a character speaks at is going to really help get us up to speed with who they are. Somebody talking very quickly is probably going to come across as either untrustworthy or harried and hectic, while somebody speaking more slowly is going to come across as deliberate or thoughtful. So let's keep up with the example we've been using. I'm not here to cause any trouble. If we speed that up, I'm not here to cause any trouble, it sounds a lot more untrustworthy or nervous. Whereas if we slow it down, I'm not here to cause any trouble, it sounds intentional and thoughtful and cautious. So you can see that just changing the speed you're speaking at is going to be able to give your character a lot of range. But speed and volume aren't the only thing that you can change. Like I said up top, word choice is the single highest impact thing you can change about the way you speak. It's going to tell us about your character's lived experience, their background, what they value, how they think. It's a fantastic window into who a character is. So like I said, if you only change one thing, make sure it's this, because it will have the biggest impact. Now let's get back to our example from earlier. I'm not here to cause any trouble. Let's give it a much more casual and slang-heavy approach. I ain't here to cause a ruckus. Again, neutral tempo, neutral volume. We're only changing the word choice here. And by changing it to a much more casual and slang-filled lexicon, it makes a character feel like somebody who is maybe not upright or who operates on the fringes of society. It gives us a much grittier character type. So if we take it in the other direction, I did not come here with the intent to cause an incident. Same exact sentiment, same tempo, same volume, but it has a much stiffer feeling, a much more calculated and considered approach to it. So it's got a completely different feel. It's the sort of thing you would expect to see or hear in a lawyer's office or something. So, like I said, if you're only going to change one aspect of how you're speaking, word choice is the biggest impact thing you can do. Now that you know what the three elements are, let's put them together. Volume, tempo, and word choice each play a significant role in giving your character an interesting sound. But by combining all three of them, you can create a truly unique sound for your character without having to do any funny accents or silly voices. Alright, so now that you know what the three elements of your own voice that you can change easily are, how can we put those parts together to make a really unique sounding character? What I like to do is change one element at a time. So I'll start with the volume, change that until I think it's in the right area. Then I'll change the tempo, just that until it's where I think I want it. And then I'll go in and I'll change how this character speaks, what their word choice is. And I'll change all three of those elements until I have the sound that I'm looking for this character. Alright, so let's talk about how to actually put all three elements together and create a unique voice. We'll do a couple of examples. The first one, we'll do a fast-talking huckster type character. A character like this, he's probably going to speak just a little bit more quietly with the intent of being just a little bit more difficult to understand. They're also going to speak a fair bit more quickly with that same intent to make it a little bit more difficult to understand. So they're going to have a much faster speaking tempo. And they're going to use a lot of street slang combined with big words, probably used improperly. So all three elements combined, we've got somebody who's going to be speaking just a little bit more quietly. They're going to be speaking a lot more quickly. And they're going to be using a combination of street slang and big words used improperly. So it might sound something along the lines of this. I ain't aiming to instigate nothing, sir, especially with somebody as magnanimous as you are. Now, he's still not here to cause trouble. It's the same exact sentiment we've been working with all along, but you get a much more complete picture of who this character is. You get a much better understanding of how this character operates within this world. Alright, for our other example, we're going to go with a bit of a kind of laid-back, hippie, druid type person. So let's adjust the volume first. And something you shouldn't be afraid to do is use your natural speaking volume. That's a completely valid option, so make sure you're not taking that off the table. The next thing we're going to adjust is the tempo. Now, I'm picturing this, like I said, hippie, druid type, so we're going to slow our tempo way down. As for word choice, we're going to use a lot of filler words and a lot of hippie language, effectively, dudes and yeah, and stuff like that. So we've got somebody who's going to be talking at a natural neutral volume, but much slower, using hippie kind of slang and a lot of filler words. So this character might sound something along the lines of, "Whoa, dude, I'm not here to like cause a ruckus or nothing, man." And you can see, again, we get that same sentiment. They're not here to cause trouble. But we get so much more of an idea of who this character is. We get so much more texture, so much more personality by changing just these three elements. Alright, well there you have it. How to make any character sound way more unique and interesting by changing just a couple elements of your own natural speaking voice. Let me know down in the comments how this worked for you if you've used it, And if you want to see me use all sorts of really goofy, silly voices, check out Chapter 1 of our Cyberpunk Red actual play right there. If you want some more tips from me on how you can bring your best game to the table, check out this playlist right here. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.